Are we really green with envy? The events of a BP oil spill in March 2006 in Alaska got us interested in how the public perceives green companies in a crisis. We defined green using our resources as what is best for the environment and business. Our purpose was to determine if media portrayal of a green company impacts an individual's assessment of a company during an environmental crisis. We used a post-test only experimental design with a control group.
A review of the literature found that public relations practitioners are responsible for not only managing the company's reputation, but also for the maintenance of the company's image. Michael Peters' group reported that 77% of Americans consider a company's environmental reputation when they purchase products. Coombs' study also revealed that a crisis has the potential to disrupt operations, causing the organization to not function properly. When a company is faced with a crisis of any kind, an important aspect of a company's crisis management strategy is the action plan implemented after the event occurred.
A specific environmental crisis that encouraged companies to revamp their crisis management strategies was the Exxon Valdez crisis of 1989. Deemed as the nation's worst oil spill, Exxon's environmental disaster increased America's concern for environmental safety, specifically companies in a crisis situation. Finally, according to Anderson, public relations practitioners had to identify, gain, and maintain relationships with activists. Activists are the people who create the issues and can hold the company back from achieving its goals and mission. It is necessary to recognize these publics before they become active and build communication with them for the future. These publics appeal to many different types of people, so it becomes necessary to be sensitive to their actions and future plans.
We used a post-test only experiment with 5 different cells with a sample size of 261. All students had the same post-test but were randomly assigned to different scenarios. In 2 scenarios, we portrayed BP as a green company. In one of the scenarios, the rock was said to be the cause of the crisis, and in the other, BP's poor maintenance was said to be the cause. In the other 2 scenarios, BP was not portrayed as green. In one of the scenarios, the rock was said to be the cause, and in the other, BP's poor maintenance was to blame. The final scenario was the control, therefore there was no manipulation involved.
The post-test started off with several demographic questions, including age, ethnicity, major, year in school, and gender. And then we proceeded to ask if the participants recycled or not. We used Lee's Likert scale, Consumers Evaluation Process in Crisis, to test perception of BP. We also used Coombs' scale for items for reputation and crisis responsibility to test for an organization's responsibility with its publics. We decided on the convenience sample because we were interested in looking at green with the younger crowd because it is such a new trend. We thought they would be more influenced by it.
Our study contained 3 major research questions. The first RQ, we ran a t-test which yielded only 1 factor, so we constructed an index with a range from 9 to 45. The alpha for the index was 0.843 after the item BP's overall image is favorable was deleted. For the second RQ, we ran a one-way ANOVA on the 2 crisis factors, image and reputation, based on the experimental stimulus cell, which indicated statistically significant differences between the cells for factor 1 image, but not for factor 2 reputation. For the third RQ, we did a correlation and found there was a negative correlation between one's self-reported level of environmentalism and crisis factors, which was negative 0.23, and a positive correlation between perception issues and crisis factors, which was 0.286.
We wanted to gauge public opinion to determine if the strategy of going green is effective in retaining a positive relationship with the public during a crisis. In an environmental crisis, we found that the cause of the crisis is more important than how they frame their environmental image beforehand. Our findings indicated that when a company is at fault for the crisis, the green status of the company does not matter. However, when a company is not at fault, the green status does make a statistically significant difference, as proven by our control group.
Our research found that the more a person sees himself as an environmentalist, the less trust that person would have in the company. We also found a very strong correlation between a favorable reputation and a positive perception of a company during crisis. Our greatest limitation was that we did not use Lee's entire scale, which caused our factor analysis to only result in a 1-factor solution. Another limitation was that our manipulation check failed because BP was consistently blamed for the crisis. After our research, we felt that in the event of a crisis, the company should not rely on their perceived image to aid them in fixing the problem, but should use it as a stepping stone to assist them in developing future action plans for crises. Public relations professionals should be mindful of their client's image in terms of the green movement, but should also realize that this factor will not significantly change the public's opinion of a specific company, especially in the event of a crisis.